Hi, this is Bobby Rempe from Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to Barbecue Central.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
Welcome to the second hour. It is the Barbecue Central Show, where we talk about all things that are important in the world of barbecue and grilling. If you missed the first hour, you missed a conversation with Doug Scheiding. You also missed a conversation with our pal over cookoutnews.com, Wes Wright. However, don't worry, because the first hour of this show will be released in a podcast feed tomorrow early morning when it's bitterly cold. Second hour you will hear on Thursdays, and we'll talk about Friday just one moment. This show originating from
Palm City, USA, Cleveland.
Still to come on the show tonight, Jess Pryles from HardcoreCarnivore.com and JessPryles.com. We say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You can go to Facebook.com/BBQ Central Show to watch, or Twitter.com/BBQ Central Show to watch, or you can watch on YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where we have a new YouTube poll question of the week, and we're asking everybody this, including all guests. Should the term embargoed be removed from the PR lexicon? And 72% of you now are saying yes. Are more of you in the PR world than I had anticipated? You like the term embargoed? Information embargoed until 9 a.m. on January 23rd. We'll see how it goes for the rest of the show. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this coming Friday. Episode 366, taking you back to January 10th of 2017. Being featured this week is Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. And in this episode, we dove into the fascination that many folks in Wisconsin have currently in this time of the year as well. So not just Wisconsin, but also the surrounding areas like Minnesota and other states around there. They have a fascination with something called the cannibal sandwich. And if you don't know what the cannibal sandwich is, A, good for you, you're winning at life. And B, it is basically raw ground beef, like that you get at the supermarket, not that you've taken Pryles, whipped out your meat grinder, and ground your ground beef that way, which is still probably a lot more unsafe than it would be just taking a primal and cooking it, killing all of the nasties off the surface. Once you grind it, the nasties go in. That's why they recommend higher internal cooking temperatures on ground beef than on whole cuts like steaks and stuff like that. But anyway, it's raw ground beef. Then you put that raw ground beef on rye bread squares, and then you top it with my favorite raw onion, and then some fresh cracked black pepper for a little bit of flavor and a little bit of spice and a little bit of heat. 100% gross. So we did talk about that topic, the safety concerns that surround it and so on. And then we even talked a little bit about the Barbecue Hall of Fame. Meathead says in this interview that he anticipates that he would never get into the Barbecue Hall of Fame, and that I will never get into the Barbecue Hall of Fame. Of course, history has proven otherwise, as he made it in a few years ago. So get ready to go back 8 years and learn about the Barbecue Hall of Fame, and get ready to learn about raw hamburger meat eating as the cannibal sandwich makes another appearance on the show. And again, if you're not familiar and you're just tuning in, raw ground beef out of the styrofoam pack from the grocery store, on top of rye bread squares, top of the raw onion, and then black pepper on top, and then consume at your own risk. I would say pleasure, debatable, consume at your own risk as far as this show is concerned. You can subscribe to the Best Moment Show by visiting thebbqcentralshow.com/subscribe. You can also subscribe to this show's podcast feed by going to the same place. In fact, if you subscribe to one or the other, you get one or the other that you didn't subscribe to just as a free gift. How about that? So every Wednesday you get notified, and every Thursday you'll get notified, and every Friday you'll get notified that there's a brand new podcast show in the feed. Also, don't forget that if you want to hear a past guest or segment that you feel has been lost in the archives, you can email our pal John Solberg and let him know what you would like to hear. That's John, J-O-N, John, J-O-N, at thebbqcentralshow.com, and he'll do his best to meet your expectation. Email from Gene in Florida. Greg, I watched intently your interview with Dave Gafford last week. The next day, I checked out the videos of his rating of different vacuum sealers and the chamber vacs. For me, a chamber vac is overkill given the amount and kinds of food prep and the leftovers that I do. There's just two of us. I have a Food Saver external vacuum sealer. I'm thinking about upgrading to a beefier unit, but can't bring myself to dispose of a unit that still works. I still cling to, if it ain't broke, then don't fix it. But then I think, better to have it, not need it, than to need it and not have it. So my question, my Food Saver still does what it's designed to do, but then I ask myself, WWGD, which I can only assume is what would Greg do. So what would you do, in your opinion? Is upgrading worth it if the unit that I still have works? By the way, when I told my wife that I have the same vacuum sealer that Greg Rempe has, her face lit up. Love the show. Regards, Gene. My man. Gene, it's an interesting question because for well over 3 years, I think I'm going into this house on year 5. So at least every year that I've been in this house in Willoughby, I have thought to myself, this vacuum sealer is old. This Food Saver. This one's old. It's going to die. I should get a new unit, number one. But then number two, I should probably upgrade the size of unit that I have. Not only that, I should look into these chamber vacuums. And then I always go no farther than that, Gene. I'm not going to lie. Not only am I if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of guy, I'm a why bother if it's not broke kind of guy. I'm that cheap ass. So until the Food Saver really reaches its ultimate demise, it will be at that point and possibly only that point, even though I agree, Dave Gafford gave great information and great ratings and reviews to 4 or 5 or 6 different chamber vacuums that he had on one of his most recent videos. I just don't see myself getting another one until the one that I have dies. And until that point, I can sit here and tell you what I would do, but I don't know. I will speculate that once my Food Saver finally bites the dust, I'm going to upgrade to a chamber vacuum. We do enough food savoring around this house between leftover meat, between doing something for sous vide, things of this nature. It's not just for one thing. There's a bunch of reasons why we use a Food Saver in this house that I think a chamber sealer would do, or a chamber vac would do probably much better and much more efficiently for me. And then, Gene, if you get the chamber vac, we are not tied to the Food Saver bag, which is probably really great for Food Saver, tying the consumer back into their bags to make sure that they work properly, although I'm sure there's plenty of Me Too's on Amazon. But I'm not willing to take that risk. So I continue to buy the Food Saver bags. But the other benefit to the chamber vac is you don't have to buy the specific brand of bags. I'm sure every manufacturer makes their own line of bags from a accessory standpoint, easy money to make if you can get it. But I think in the end, Gene, that's probably what I'm going to do. And at that point, I will probably spend $600 or $700 on a chamber vac because that's probably going to be it for me. I mean, I'm 50 years old. I've gotten well into the 10-year plus time frame on the last Food Saver. I'm under the impression that the vac sealer is going to be a much more robust unit no matter where I enter into that realm. If I don't have to think about getting another food sucker of some degree until I'm in my mid-60s, I'm probably winning at life. So that's what Greg would do, Gene. And I hope that that is food for thought for you. Well, she's not here now, but I'm sure she will be by the time we get done with this read. That would be Jess Pryles in the green room. If not, I have other things to get to. Let's talk about Primo Grills. What do we love about ceramic cookers? Glad you asked. We love that they're fuel efficient. We love that you can achieve low and slow temperatures for traditional barbecue meats. We love that you can get rip-roaring hot for the high-temperature grilling of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday lineup of ceramic cookers? The real ability to do true two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking is very important to both professional and backyard cooks alike. It's the best way to manage a fire and cook with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker isn't very realistic. Why? Because it's round. Enter Primo Grill in the game-changing oval design, the one that you hear me talk about week in and week out. The shape gives you the ability to execute the two-zone setup that you desire. It also gives you the other ceramic grill benefits as well. Really, when you break it down, there's more than 60 different ways to configure the Primo cooker. So you're only limited by your culinary imagination. Also, a ton of accessories. You don't have to worry about that. And from what I understand, a lot of accessories coming this calendar year of 2025. Here's the bottom line. Best ceramics in the biz? Yes. Patented technology? Yes. True two-zone cooking capabilities? And an oval size that will shatter your very ceramic cooking foundations? Yes and yes. Only sold through dealers, though, so you have to visit one to really fall in love with it. PrimoGrill.com for a dealer near you. Then go to that dealer in person and pick out the ceramic cooker of the oval shape that really sparks your interest. And buy up, for crying out loud. Never buy down, always buy up. PrimoGrill.com. That's PrimoGrill.com. We're back with Jess Pryles right after this. Stick around, be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. Leading off the second hour tonight is the CEO of the Hardcore Carnivore brand of products. She continues to create mouthwatering recipes on her namesake website, justpryles.com. She continues to be a quarterly guest on this show as we get going in 2025. Also, a Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. We welcome back for the first time in 2025, Jess Pryles. Jess, we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests, which is the following. Should the term embargoed be removed from the PR lexicon forever? Yes or no?
Yeah, look, let's just go with yes.
Do you like embargoed?
Yeah, and can I counter with my own question, perhaps?
Yes, of course.
What's going on with that sweater?
I mean, it's -5 ambient temperature in Cleveland.
I like it. I've just never. It's just I'm not used to seeing you.
I have never
in
worn a
dad
sweater.
gear.
Never worn a sweater on the show ever.
But it's not just any sweater. You could have gone with a black sweater. When you went with a Clark Griswold sweater.
I did?
I feel like it's got a little Griswold to it. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that now.
I mean, it's a compliment.
Is it?
It brings out your eyes.
You said that in a question at the end, like you're Canadian.
No, that's just how I talk.
Always questioning? Of course, because you're a food scientist and scientists must question everything.
Clearly.
So certainly I understand that. Look,
until there's better science.
It's very cold, and in the basement, it's also continuing to be cold. So I had to gear up a little bit.
Do you have a blanket on your lap?
No, I have
Like
a heater.
I
I have a heater just off to the left here that's also blowing heat on me. So I've really had to up the ante. I'm not breaking news anymore, but for those who don't follow closely to Jess Pryles, the item I wanted to lead was the item I wanted to lead with is this: you are now under contract for book number 2. Look at you!
Oh, that's the air horn we wanted and needed. Thank you very much. It's very exciting. It's been a long break between books, but let's go.
Have you been
LFG?
Have you been trotting one out, or were you approached?
I was like, absolutely no for a little while, and then I was like, maybe, and then I was like, oh, I don't really want to do it until I come up with a great idea for it, and then I shared my great idea, and everyone's like, nah, just put out another grilling book like everyone does in April.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think so. And then I reconnected with the publisher who was like, actually, you know that idea you had that's not the same thing every year? We should do that. And I was like, you know what? We should. And here we are.
So what's the concept then if it's not every other cookbook that talks about cookers up front and then gives you the traditional barbecue meats? Are you embargoed on what you're allowed to say?
I feel like we're way too far out to start talking about it, but I will say it is a meat book before it is a cooking method book. How about that?
It's a perhaps what could be reference material adjacent.
No, it is as much at home in a newbie kitchen as it is a seasoned veteran.
Mm-hmm. So,
I hope.
Like, when is it coming out?
I have to write it, Greg. I have to write
26, 27?
26. Yeah, 26.
Still the same time release, like springtime of that year?
No, we will actually be aiming for a Christmas 26 release.
Whoa.
Like
so
holiday.
This is a long time. So a year this coming Christmas.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Mate, I haven't even written it yet. Come on. It's going to have 100 recipes in it. Give me a break.
I don't read books, so I would have no idea how long it takes to write one. So if you're
It takes quite a while.
From what I understand.
And I'm writing it myself. I don't have a ghostwriter or no, a lot of people have like people who help them write the books.
I know one of the most prolific ghostwriters ever. You ever heard of Doug Tratner?
No.
You ever heard of Michael Simon?
Exactly. Yes.
That's his ghostwriter, yes.
There you go.
Or I don't know if he calls him a ghostwriter. It's his writing partner or whatever. But he's on Michael Simon with Doug Tratner.
Yeah. Like Daniel Vaughan helped Sam Jones write his cookbook, like that kind of thing. But I write my own cookbooks because I'm insane.
I feel like if this is something you have already mentioned, there might be chapters that are locked away in a hard drive somewhere, and it's not like you're necessarily starting from scratch.
It's the trade-off. So if I said to you, hey, I want you to start thinking about the idea for another show, you'd be like, well, I'm going to start to go down that path, but I'm not going to get too invested because, I have to be reasonable with this. So there was a concept, there was a pitch, there was a proof of concept that got worked on. And the idea is there, but I have to write it and I have to come up with 100 new recipes. So
Is that part of the contract? Like you got to come up with 100 recipes?
They tell you it has to be between like 100 and 120. And like they tell you about it beforehand. They decide what kind of book it's going to be and all that kind of stuff. And actually, since my last book deal I signed in 2016. So we're 9 years after that. And now the book contracts have to have a clause in them that you're not allowed to use ChatGPT or any AI to come up with any of your text. So that was an interesting modern difference.
It seems like there might be some lazy writers if they got to put that in writing, like you're writing a book.
It's tempting.
Is it?
It's tempting.
I feel like you would shit all over that.
Yeah, I use it sometimes for when I'm trying to write like social media posts for things, and I'm like, oh, how do I say if in the 15th way it's got a great flavor, you know? And so you know, it can be tempting to do that, but at the end of the day, I think I got into all of this because I loved writing. Like that's why I started a blog way back when that led me into barbecue. So I am excited for it. It just a little nervous with a full workload, but very excited. Excited for you all to see it.
How much time can you dedicate to a book every week?
You have to. It'll be after the regular stuff is done. Yeah, exactly. There will be laptop on the couch, like doing stuff. You have to do it because not only is it obviously the recipe testing itself, there has to be a lot of text as well, and you just have to get it done. So I would rather get ahead of it now. So long everything, because your life doesn't get put on hold. You need to be able to do all the other stuff in life, like produce my normal content, go and speak at different events, run Hardcore Carnivore, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, it's a lot going on.
You get a better advance this time around than the first book? Yeah. Is it still for books? Is it now still just to get it out, get the brand out, get your name out to a different audience than you might not touch otherwise versus making a lot of money like it used to be 20, 30 years ago?
I mean, you have to be in a different sphere to make a lot of money off books. I've made a really nice return on my first book, but it's also, as the publisher said, the little book that could. They're like, we didn't think this would be in print for more than maybe 2 years at most, and it's 7 years later and it's still in print in 2 countries. So it just, you know, keeps picking up steam. So I think the thing is, from a PR perspective, because I know you love talking about embargoes, a book is the number one thing that will get you PR. Like that's what will get you on shows. That's what, like, people are like, oh, you've got a book coming out, let's talk. So it's interesting from that perspective as well, perhaps even more so than a TV show. And I would know.
I was going to say, well, what do you think? You're a TV star now. You're a accomplished author. Which one would you choose if you had to pick one?
Can I ask a question again, counter to that? Do you think, I mean, I'm an American citizen now, but sometimes, especially when I talk to you, I feel hyper Australian. Do you feel like your audience and the American audience gets that I'm actually being super sarcastic and I don't have an enormous ego?
Do you think they know me?
Or do you think that
Do you think they know me?
Do you think that they think that we're just both really up ourselves? Is that what they think?
That we're both really up ourselves?
Yeah.
What does that
Is that
mean?
another Australian phrase? That you have an inflated ego. Inflated opinion of
like
yourself.
they know. Look. Oh wait. Now
It's short for up your own ass.
I don't
you're
know,
up your own ass with delight.
I don't know why up your own made me think about this. I have to get your expert opinion on this. You're you've been a longtime pet owner before the unfortunate passing.
It's all right.
So we had I got these 4 cats. And then 2 weeks ago, we had to put the first one down. We'll get into it.
Oh.
And then I was like, what could I do that's not like a picture or, something a little out of the ordinary, but in a nice way to get something that's just out of the ordinary, but nice. And I got this. So I need to get your take on it. What do you think? It's a pillow.
Wow.
Pretty big pillow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's peanut right there.
I'm just digesting.
Like if Chris got you that, would it be off-putting to you to see your recently passed away pet on a pillow?
Maybe? I don't know. I think my first thing would be like, You don't choose the pillows in this house. I'm in control of the decor.
Yes, but it's a pet pillow. It's not decor.
Yeah, I'd probably love it because we love pets, right?
I don't know. I mean, I don't. I didn't want one cat, let alone 4 cats. So we're headed in the right direction as far as I'm concerned.
How was the pillow received?
Yes, it was mixed. Some thought it was pretty tasteless. Some thought it had a lot of taste.
It's the scale of the pillow that really was. I think that was your issue. If it was a little cute little squishy pillow that was like a little emblem of them instead of this like, I'm going to stare at you when you walk into the room kind of pillow.
Yeah.
Maybe that had something to do with it.
Well, for $10 more, you got the bigger pillow, and I'm a sucker for upgrade at checkout.
You're that guy. Okay.
Interesting. All right.
That's okay.
I forget. Oh, so yes, to answer your question, everybody knows that we're just having some witty banter back and forth. I don't think anybody thinks we're taking ourselves too seriously by not my audience. I mean, we're all self-deprecating, trying to build self-worth and self-esteem every day. So here we go.
Oh, good. So we're amongst friends.
Absolutely.
Good.
How was Japan really?
It was pretty amazing. I had always been interested in going, but it wasn't like a bucket list. Chris has been wanting to go since he was in college. And so he had this whole like, this is amazing. Everyone's polite. Everything runs on time. Everyone's so nice. He really, really loved it. It was a really great experience. It's nice being around people who are nice to you constantly and very polite, but apparently that's what we see as tourists. But apparently, like under the surface, they're all quite lonely, devious people. Deviant, not devious.
And you're obviously sticking out like sore thumbs too, so they're just inherently nice to you. But, yeah, but even you, I mean, I'm not mistaking you for a Japanese person.
No, but I've got dark hair and I'm short, so I just sort of blend. Chris, meanwhile, I did, you know this, but for everyone watching, I did a series called #TallHusband in Japan where he's 6'4" and he just cowered over everybody, towered rather. What's with my words tonight? Point is, he was really tall. Everyone was really short. It made for some funny photos. It was awesome. But I did think about you because for the very first time, I tried horse meat.
Oh, that's right. Well,
yeah. And I was like, I've got to text Rempe because horse meat. And here's the problem with the horse meat that I experienced in Japan. Yeah. They eat the horse meat raw. And like any meat that you eat raw, it's just completely dulled in flavor because most of the flavor is developed during the cooking process.
Of course.
So it just tasted fine.
So you say you had it, but it's not, you're missing out on some kind of flavor experience. If it would have been cooked, it would have been way different.
Correct. But they don't traditionally cook it. So I had it in like a sushi sort of tartare format.
Yeah.
But even when they don't do it like that, they sort of just serve it in raw slices because I did some investigating to try and become the horse meat correspondent you've been looking for.
Yes, thank you.
And so I don't know that I would have found it. I know you can find it place like France do a sort of horse steak.
Yeah, Italy, Germany, all do horse steak.
Horse d'oeuvre.
Yeah, horse d'oeuvre, yes. Did you, when you're there, first time, do you hire a guide? I was talking with Sam, the cooking guy, a couple months ago, and they were going to a specific city, and they did this whole bunch of research on getting a guide so they could really maximize their time and wherever the hell they were. Is that something that you were due diligent on?
We did and we didn't. So we did Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka, and Osaka was only for the day because you can take a bullet train. It's 15 minutes from Kyoto. So because we were only in Osaka for the day, we got a guide through one of those like meet the locals, have the locals show you around place because it was so like, we've got 6 hours, make it happen. I can't do the research for 6 hours. But everywhere else, I'm kind of a little bit OCD. I build Google Maps based on, I get all my friend recommendations. I look up where they've recommended, and if it looks good, I'll just put it on a Google Map. And what that lets me do is I have an idea of where I want to go and see, and then wherever I'm at, I can open my Google Map for the recommended restaurants so that I'm not like stumbling into somewhere. I did this for Italy too. So I'm not stumbling into somewhere where it might not be good eating. I'm always sort of having good meals because, we are food-based travelers after all. And that's my trick. I do a custom Google map with all the recommendations, and went to that kitchenware store, got a nice Japanese knife. So, yeah, it was good. Recommend.
What percentage of, what's the question I'm trying to ask here? Are you also going to look at sites? Like, what percentage of your travel is sightseeing versus eating?
Yeah, like we did temples and, mountains, and we didn't do mountains, but we certainly went past Mount Fuji in a bullet train. I definitely try and walk around and see. I like historical and cultural reference things. I'm less about sort of art galleries and museums. I'm more like, I want to see the history. I want to see the buildings. So Kyoto was really cool because you walk around the old geisha district and you feel like you're in this like turn of the century wooden hut, tiny little Japanese town. So I like that. I like immersing in history.
Will you go back?
Probably. But there's so many other places to see. I love traveling because it opens you up. It opens your mind up. It opens your experiences up. And honestly, from a culinary perspective, not to bore everyone because that's why we're here, to get to understand all of the different types of food, to get to have the Wagyu in Japan, which was incredible and very well priced. But honestly, it's just not my favorite because it's so rich. So it's a very deluxe experience, but would I rather have even arguably a choice grade ribeye, a big fuck off choice grade ribeye, than a sliver of insanely fatty Wagyu? Yes. You?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had Japanese. Well, that's not true. You've had like an A5
Wagyu.
Yeah. It was, it's like one of those 2-3 ounce things, and you're like, wow, that's pretty heavy now, and I don't know if I want to eat
and you can just
anymore.
feel it.
Yeah, it's a whole coating thing. When my parents were up for a 50th wedding anniversary thing, I did a steak tasting flight, and we did prime, we did Wagyu, and then we did A5. And it was, noticeably or progressively more mouth coating, and everybody agreed that the majority agreed that prime was the best.
Yeah, and for all of the straight men who have never worn cosmetics out there that are watching, that is basically what wearing lip balm gloss feels like by the time you've finished eating all of that Wagyu. It's just this weird sensation on your lips.
Washing chicken continues to be the biggest troll job on social media platforms, but the troll is in reverse. For instance, you made a video showing some dope who is entitled to do whatever she wants when it comes to preparing her chicken, but you give scientific facts on why not doing it is a better idea, and all you need to do is go through the comments and see how many people aren't appalled by her and are appalled by you. What gives?
I don't know. We've lost some kind of semblance of common sense is about as good as I can get. So here's the thing. And what I've come to learn over the years is if you do that as a cultural practice because you believe it changes the texture or the flavor, like how some chefs are like, I don't know what it does, it just does it. Even if science is like, well, we can't find anything to support your argument. That's different. That's a personal preference thing. In this case, the video was that it started with, she specifically said, I'm cleaning it. I'm cleaning it with lemon juice and I'm cleaning it with vinegar. And I shared a study that was done at Drexel University where they used vinegar and they used lemon juice over different times. So I think a 30-second, a 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute period. And all they found was that the salmonella ends up not only in the chicken, but in that acid wash that you create. So it actually just creates more of salmonella soup. So they say that you just shouldn't do it. And I was much more cautious than ever before, Greg, to try and be culturally sensitive, to finish the video with, instead of like, don't do it or something like that, it was more like, maybe this information will help you make a decision to be safer in your own kitchen, kind of thing. And yes, it was received exactly how I thought it was going to be received. And I guess people love to be offended. That's all. It wasn't trying to be offensive. It was like, well, if research comes out and tells us that smoking is bad for us, the argument is not, well, my grandmother and her mother smoked and taught me how to smoke, therefore I will continue to smoke.
Yeah.
That's how it sounds to me when I get argued on those principles.
I was going to say, it just seems like there's more people that grew up in it or are being taught this is how you should prep your chicken than aren't. Mm-hmm. And no matter what we do, because I think we did this whole bit maybe 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and we have either not made any ground or, God forbid, we have lost ground in this effort. Because when I see other people do this, and it's like you're the one saying maybe decide against it, all the other ones are like, if you don't wash your chicken, you can't come in my house kind of thing. And then in the comments, it's echo chamber of no doubt, or who wouldn't wash their chicken, or how unclean are those chicken packing things anyway? You got to wash all that stuff off. And I read every comment and I go, wow, like, how can you possibly think logically that whatever you think you're doing is cleaning your chicken, or you're washing off this nasty or that nasty on the styrofoam that the chicken is in? Like, what world am I living?
The interesting thing for me is, coming from Australia, generally the practice of washing chicken, or the tradition, is very prevalent in Caribbean cultures or people of Caribbean descent. And we're very far away from the Caribbean in Australia. So what you'll see in my comments is a lot of people going, I've never even heard of people do, like you're talking about the post where people are saying, I've never heard of people who don't wash their chicken, how nasty.
Yeah.
Mine are full of people going, who even does that? And then the next comment will be someone saying, stay out of it, we've been doing it for so long. And, you know, that's when you just grab the popcorn and like go to town. That's the only topic that I knowingly post about, knowing that it's going to be controversial, just because I think it's funny. I think it's funny. I think it's funny that people get so pissed off that people are trying to like recommend cleanliness and safety in their home. Any
Potential breaking news that you want to lay on us before I turn you loose tonight?
I don't know. Am I forgetting something? Did we set something up? I don't.
No, I'm just asking.
I see you're a week to, you know what? I'm just going to show this. I didn't want to because it doesn't arrive till next week, but do you want some breaking news?
Well, yes.
Do you want a Barbecue Central exclusive?
Barbecue Central show exclusive news update.
This is
Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, the city that breaks the most live fire breaking news across the country. Nay, the Globe, and Jess Pryles in Austin, Texas is filing this report.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it. It's a little cold here in Austin, but we've got the word on the street. Well, all that aside, here's what's going on, and this is a really big deal because I usually never do this. I never show you a product before it is available, and this will not be available technically till next week.
All right.
But I've been working on this for a couple of years, and I love it, and I think it's ridiculous in all the best ways. And so we will be launching this week the Hardcore Carnivore folding Damascus steak knife that flicks up.
Holy crap.
So this is an everyday carry steak knife that you can carry in your pocket for steak emergencies. And it looks completely badass.
Like, but you can also carry it to stab somebody in the neck.
No, you should never do that with it. It is purely for steak.
Oh. So
that's why it says folding steak knife. Throw that out, Greg.
This is a Gerber knife recommended by you, and it pops up.
Oh, I didn't give it to you. I recommended it.
Ready to go.
I love that knife,
yeah.
But it is not a steak knife. This is actually like a serrated steak knife, a Damascus serrated
Look at that
steak knife.
What's that going to retail for?
It's gorgeous. Are you ready? Are you ready for this?
I am.
$34.99.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
If you mention the
I
Barbecue
like to
Central
be
show on
accessible.
ordering, do I get a shipping discount? No.
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
sorry about that.
Not-
I tried,
not to start
everybody.
with.
I tried.
It's all right.
All right.
I think it's a great value, fun little thing, and
Oh.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how people use it. I've been carrying around the one prototype for the last few months, and anytime I'm out somewhere, I'm like, excuse me, because it's assisted release, so you just go, psh,
Yeah.
and it just opens up. And then everyone's like, what is that? I'm like, oh, that's the Hardcore Carnivore folding steak knife. So it's kind of funny, but it's also awesome.
There's been more than a handful of times when I have been shy of food grade knife. Not all the time, but I would say maybe over the last 2 or 3 years, 5 or 6 times where having a steak knife would have saved the day. And I'm not going to take out my everyday carry because while that is way more useful and it goes on a lot of things every day, I'm not going to cut a steak with it and hope I don't catch
But
listeria.
hear me out, Greg.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hear me out. One of your correspondents, nay, one of your chef friends, or a sponsor that you're trying to court. You go out to lunch. You're trying to show them the impact of the Barbecue Central show.
Yes.
You sit down and you say, no thanks, I won't need your knife. I carry my own.
Wow. How about that?
Do you see that?
Over the top.
Did you feel it?
I feel all kinds of, I got to get that in my hands ASAFP. That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, we'll make sure that a sample is seeded to you so you can give your opinion, your honest opinion and feedback to your audience.
Do you think
It's important.
if you went to a steak restaurant and as the steak is being placed in front of you, you produce and reveal your very own foldable steak knife, they're going to go pro or they're going to go douche?
This is the beauty part of it. They're going to do both at the same time. That's the point of it.
Yes. Both pro,
and then you're
pro
going to go
douche.
douche, but then you're going to look at it and be like, actually, that's just a really badass looking
Yeah.
knife. So it's like you have both emotions, but you end up triumphant.
Hey, Jess, you want to play a game?
Absolutely.
Why not? Let's tie it up here this evening with a game show called Betwixt the Two. Playing with us.
Am I on a winning streak?
You are on tonight, if you win, makes a winning streak.
Okay.
You were off the schneid I think it was last month, but last week.
Okay.
Joining us for the first time ever in the history of 2025 for this game is Jess Pryles. Jess, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Jess Pryles, originally from Australia, now in Austin, Texas. I have a company called Hardcore Carnivore, and I'm fun to follow on social media. So follow me at Jess Pryles.
All right, here we go. Whew. I even hyped this one up.
Oh, you've promised big things here, Rempy.
Let's make sure I don't fall on my face like I did with that dead cat pillow earlier today. Hey, Jess, betwixt the two, which is the better Prince song?
I did not see this coming, but okay.
This is tough. Off the 1984 iconic album, Purple Rain, Take Me With You, or from the same iconic 1984 album, Purple Rain, the title track, Purple Rain. Oh my. And by the way, is there a not the best ever Prince song ever? Even with New Power Generation and, I mean, hit after hit.
I feel like you're
Jughead.
setting me up here.
Wow. Take Me With You.
Honestly.
Or Purple Rain.
I feel like I would want to use all the lifelines, but I'm also going to listen to my gut,
Yes.
and I'm also going to have to say Purple Rain.
Purple Rain, final answer?
Yes. You know, I know you're going to tell me I'm wrong, but I also know that I'm not wrong. So
Wow. You are really arguing with yourself here. We haven't even gotten to the reveal yet. Good for you. All right, we'll lock you in.
lock it in.
Betwixt the two, which is the better Prince song, both off the iconic Purple Rain album from 1984. Is it Take Me With You or is it Purple Rain? And the good news is you are on a win streak. That's right. Of course, it is Purple Rain.
Nice.
Take Me With
Nice.
You is
Thank you.
great. Great. Listen to it every day.
See, that's why I was confused. Because I was like,
know.
well, how do you...
I know.
Did you see?
Of course.
You know what you're doing.
That's why I said
of
this
course.
one was going to blow your mind. But Purple Rain is the masterpiece off of the self-titled Purple Rain album. Just anything else before I let you go this evening?
Yeah. Can I do this to you one session? Like, can I challenge you to a betwixt the two? I don't have all the sound effects though, so it might be a bit shit.
I mean,
but,
I can do the sound effects all the way up until the end.
Okay, and then just have your finger ready on both buttons, right?
Right. I can do it.
All right. So, what do you think about turning the tables?
If you want to put in that effort, then I'm more than happy
you.
to turn it over to you next quarter if you would like.
Are any limitations or
no. I'm a lover of all
parameters?
music. No, your show, you run it.
I know you. I could do Taylor Swift and you'd be happy, but that's not what I would choose. I
Ariana
would definitely be
Grande.
somewhere. I'd be in the hair metal sort of
I can
arena.
do that too.
I feel
I can do it.
Okay, great. Great. Thank you for having me. I always have a good time.
Always appreciate the time, and we'll see you next quarter. That's Jess Pryles right
Thank
there.
you.
Yes, sir. HardcoreCarnivore.com for all the gear, and JessPryles.com for all the recipes. And be on the lookout next week for the portable steak knife. So when you go into the steak restaurant and they're short a knife, or you want to be like me and be the pro douche. No. I got it. Right here. Sub $40, I'll take it. All right, before we get to the last portions of the show here this evening, we will talk to you about Big Papa Smokers, who was just recently inducted in the Kansas City Barbecue Society's Hall of Fame. Big Papa Smokers' 15th anniversary radio script. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Celebrate Big Papa Smokers' 15th anniversary with the ultimate barbecue essentials, from the award-winning rubs and sauces to premium grills and smokers. Big Papa Smokers has everything the barbecue lover in your life needs. Discover Pitmaster favorites like Sweet Money, Double Secret, Cash Cow, Competition Brisket, and Steak Rub. For a limited time, use promo code REMPY15 at checkout. That's REMPY15. Get 15% off your entire purchase. Some exclusions apply. Visit BigPapaSmokers.com for details. And again, that's REMPY15, REMPE15 at checkout, and get 15% off your purchase. Some exclusions apply. BigPapaSmokers.com for details. Big Papa Smokers, where your food just got better. I have a few questions to answer in the mailbag, and then we'll wrap the show. Stick around, be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Jess Pryles for joining us last segment. JessPryles.com for recipes, HardcoreCarnivore.com for gear, spices, sauces, all the fun stuff. Little extended time there. I'm a little self-conscious about the sweater now. Clark Griswold, dad thing. Of course, my sweaters are not necessarily extensive. I could have went with the solid color quarter zip. This is heavier. This is cold. In any event, we thank Jess Pryles for coming on, and tune in next quarter as she turns the table on me for Betwixt the Two. So looking forward to that. This portion of the show being brought to you by McAuliffe Cigars. Step into the world of McAuliffe Cigars, where each blend is a chapter in a grand tale of craftsmanship and passion. I have just been restocked. Here we have the McAuliffe Black, which is the 2023 cigar of the year. Why is it not focusing? I mean, come on. I thought I had my hand figured out here. All right. So this is the McAuliffe Black in Robusto. It's delicious. One of my favorite 2023 cigar of the year. And then I think my second favorite now in the color line, you guessed it, it is the McAuliffe Red. Now, if you look at these two, you can see the difference in wrapper color here. Here you have a Maduro wrapper. Here you have a Habano wrapper. Oh, they smell delicious. And then new for me, which means it could be new for you, also in Robusto, the Leanda right here. Double bands, as you can see as I whirl it around. You can see the main band up there at the top, but then you see the band just underneath the McAuliffe. What do you call it? The McAuliffe crest, where it says Leanda. That one's supposed to be in the McAuliffe Black profile box. This is what the Leanda shows up in. A very nice, unassuming box. Robusto, which is 5 inches long by 52 inches in circumference. That is called the ring gauge. And that's what it looks like inside the box. All those cigars are in my humidor right now, moisturizing for the next smoke. So if you are interested in a Leanda and you liked the McAuliffe Black specifically, the red has a little bit different profile, but the black specifically, then the Leanda might be up your alley as well. Email from Steve in Tennessee. Greg, Dave Gafford is going to be a hit on the show. I'm not a big food sealer guy, but I thought the discussion was interesting. Looking forward to his future appearances. Now, let me say the content you provide for the show is best week in and week out. That's a given. But Dr. Robert F. Moss hit it out of the park last night. His brief history of the demise of the newspaper industry and summation of the Michelin star program was great. And I mean great, great, great. I don't think any guest has ever provided so much interesting information, including cause and effect, about an entire industry in one segment. Our local newspaper employs 2 full-time food writers. One covers restaurant events and the like, and the other puts together food section every Wednesday that includes recipes and features. The reporter that covers restaurants will feature a local restaurant, but rarely does reviews. It's more of an interview with the owner and what they hope to do with that food. Just like Robert said last Tuesday night, regards, Steve. Steve, appreciate you writing into the show. I agree. And as I had mentioned in the open of the show, one of the best segments ever, and then opening the eyes of many who have heard the term Michelin star and a restaurant has got a Michelin star rating, but what does it mean? How many stars are there? And then to hear how one might get them, that being paying for them in some form or fashion, can certainly put a different view on it. Email from Braden. Hey, Greg, how you doing? I have a question about podcasting, so I might want to start considering starting a barbecue podcast. Can you please give me 5 tips that can help me get started strong? Also, for the microphones, should I use the same type of microphone as you do, the one that's always in front of you, or should I shoot for a different type of mic? Regards, Braden. All right, Braden, this is a loaded question here. If you are interested in starting a barbecue podcast and you want 5 tips that will help you start out strong, number 1 is going to be concept. Number 2 is going to be repeatability. Number 3, and we're touching on it here in the second portion of your question, which is microphones. You don't need to go out and buy the Sennheiser MKH. What is this? You don't need to go out and buy the MKH 416 shotgun mic. All right, it's $1,300 microphone. You're going to need to buy associated gear with it to make it work. Does it sound great? Yes. Is it my signature sound now and over the last few years? Yes. Did the Electro Voice sound just as good? The one that, you can't really see it in that picture there because I don't have the studio lights on over there. The one that I used to run, the Electro Voice RE20, superior. You don't need to spend that much money either. You use the one that Doug was using in the first segment tonight, 914. It's a $69 Samson Q2U. It is both an XLR input-output microphone, which you're going to need a mixer for, so don't get that mixer, get the microphone. But it's also a USB-connected microphone, so you can take that USB cable, connect it into your computer, and now as long as you stay nice and close to it, it's going to sound dynamite. All the guests that I have on the show, by and large, are using the Samson Q2 microphone. They either buy them or I send them ones to use because they sound great and I know what I'm getting each and every time. So, concept, repeatability, microphone, and then editing. Edit. If you think you've edited too much, edit more. I always say the best barbecue podcast is living, when it's produced and pre-recorded, it's living right in that 20 to 30 minute area. Always leave somebody wanting more, not like, oh my God, why won't this stop? Was that 5? Let us recap. Concept, microphone, editing, release schedule. That's number 5. Release schedule is very important, Braden. Commit right up front. How many times do you realistically think that you can produce a new show? Is it once a week? And can you stick to that release schedule for 6 months and a year and 5 years from now? Or should you do it twice a month? Or should you do it once a month? Starting out, you pick the release schedule. Don't go strong and then start to feather back as the months roll on because you got over your skis. You can always increase, but decreasing output is an inevitable sign of pod fade. You will fall victim to the many and many and many that have come after me. There's a long list of people that started after me and that have gone well before me because they don't do it right. They don't ask the right questions. So those are the 5 top things that I would say to help you do it strong. And then make sure that you're not recording JIT. Have 5 or 10 as a buffer. It doesn't have to be timely stuff. If the content is good, it doesn't have to be something that happened this week. Just focus on speaking well, paying attention to those 5 things. And then you will be in the right place to continue on your podcast journey. By the way, Smoking Joe's Pit Barbecue, Greg just invented a new word, pod fade. I did not. That is an actual term in the podcasting industry, pod fade. Programming note for the next 2 months in regards to the embedded correspondence segment, John Solberg unable to appear January and February due to work conflicts. So coming up next week, I have a special fill-in guest for the January slot, and then February, you will see our pal Sam, the cooking guy, sitting in once more. So looking forward to those 2 segments, and most importantly, looking forward to John getting back in the saddle in March. And I think that's going to do it here. I'm all caught up on the business end. Got a little long-winded, helping Braden become a podcast success. All the way back in the first hour, it was Doug Scheiding from Road Cookers, and then it was Wes Wright from cookoutnews.com. Road Cookers is roadcookers.com if you want to buy his rubs and see what Doug is up to. Good luck to him this coming weekend for San Antonio Rodeo and Associated Barbecue Cook-Off. Second hour, Jess Pryles, jesspryles.com, hardcorecarnivore.com. You can buy all of her spices and gear and that upcoming knife on hardcorecarnivore.com. And if you want to use all those cool things and some really great recipes, you go to her namesake website, jesspryles.com. Big show planned for you next week. Number of great guests, embedded correspondence in the second hour, so stay tuned for that. So how do I always leave you? September 11, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American Greg Rempe saying, Shalom! Shalom!
Hi, this is Jeff Stone of Grandpa's Pride Barbecue from the Panhandle of Florida. and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.